สวัสดีค่ะตอนนี้เราก็อยู่กับคุณเจฟนะคะเป็นตัวแทนจากบริษัท Pycnogenol เลยผมก็เลยอยากจะให้ทุกคนเนี่ยได้รับความรู้เต็มๆจากเจ้าของแบรนด์เลยนะคะต้องขออนุญาตค่ะ
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's very nice to meet you. I'm very happy to be here.
Nice to meet you too.
Pycnogenol development started many years ago now, back in the 1960s actually, so more than 50 years ago. And it started during a time when they were trying to find new innovative raw materials that they could use from basically natural products. And one of the things that they found was looking at the bark of the French maritime pine tree, which at that time, actually, this bark was just being thrown away, if you can believe it. I know it's crazy. But then they investigated the polyphenol compounds in the bark and they found all the health benefits with that. And so that's how it started, but it started off not as a health food, but as a pharmaceutical. It was developed to be a drug to strengthen the cardiovascular system, strengthen the blood vessels, and to improve blood flow. And for about 20 years, it was sold only as a pharmaceutical product. And then in the 1980s, more research came about the antioxidant health benefits, the anti-inflammatory health benefits started to come about. And then after that, the skin health and the other benefits started to come. And the research has just continued to grow over 50 years. We now have more than 160 clinical studies involving more than 15,000 patients. And yeah, more than 500 scientific publications on Pycnogenol. So there's a lot we can talk about today. The tree in the forest is actually very interesting too, the story behind that. Historically, the forest was actually planted during the time of Napoleon III. They planted this forest as a part of a project to basically reclaim land that was a swamp. And so it's a very unique part of the world in that today it is a completely natural forest. But what's unique about it is it's only this one species of tree. Like 90% of the forest is only one type of tree. But this tree, this area where it grows, it was a very harsh environment because it was a mixture of ocean water, so very high mineral content, very difficult for plants to grow. And there's very intense sun. They get about 300 days of sun a year. Extreme in temperature between night and day, so very difficult environment for a plant to grow. But these trees took to this environment and they became a unique species of pine tree. So the French maritime pine, if it's allowed to grow for 30 to 50 years, it develops a very, very thick, very red bark. It becomes on average about 4 centimeters thick. But if you were to go just a couple hundred kilometers south to Spain, technically it's the same tree, but the bark on the tree only averages about 1.5 centimeters.
Oh.
And it has to do with the environment where it's grown. So it's very unique.
At the same age of the
Same
tree.
age. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So it's really quite fascinating. So now, and the forest traditionally in France was mainly used for lumber production. And that's really the main purpose today too, still for producing wood products. But up until the 1960s, they were throwing the bark away. And they didn't realize the value of the bark. And with our research, Horphag research, we found the value in the bark and developed the first pharmaceutical products and now the health food ingredient that is Pycnogenol.
Oh, that means this is the kind of very unique tree.
Yes.
Even the same pine tree.
Yes.
Is different.
Yes. Oh, yes. And pine trees can be found all over the world, you know.
Right.
But it really depends on the environment that they're grown in. And different parts of the world have different species of pine trees. And so based upon the environment that they grow in, they accumulate different compounds in the bark. Different compounds, different concentration of these compounds. And so when you extract, if you make a plant extract from 2 different pine trees, they're going to be completely different. So even if it says pine bark extract, it's not going to be the same. I mean, Pycnogenol is unique. It's one and only.
That's how it's different.
Yes, very much so. And of course, the uniqueness too is that the long history of research with Pycnogenol, you will not find the same level of research, the same level of confirmed safety evidence. That's, of course, very important. So yes, there's a lot of factors that go into it, but yes, Pycnogenol is very unique for that. That's an excellent application for Pycnogenol, and the health benefits there for reducing melasma or skin spots were really first published back in 2002 with a clinical study that came out of China. And this involved women who had melasma, so skin spots, and they started taking Pycnogenol, and they took it for only 4 weeks, and it was the first study of its kind. And they took 75 milligrams a day. So your dose, 40 milligrams or 80 milligrams, would fit perfectly in that line as far as effective dose. But in this study, only 4 weeks, and they saw a 37.7% reduction in the size of the skin spots and about a 30% reduction in a lightening in the color of the skin spots. So that was the first study suggesting this benefit. But after that, there's more and more studies that have come out since then and reconfirmed and refound the same results. This is very important with anything. If a health food ingredient has one study, that doesn't really mean much. But the good thing with Pycnogenol is we prove it again and again because we are a research evidence-based company. So they even know the mechanism of action of how it's working. Number one, it inhibits the enzyme that produces melanin, this skin pigment, which is called tyrosinase. So it has those effects, very powerful antioxidant effects, so it decreases the damage from UV radiation in the skin, prevents the development of melasma to begin with. And then more recently, looking at epigenetic effects of the extract on the genes, we have found that taking Pycnogenol continuously actually downregulates the generation of tyrosinase and the other enzymes and cofactors involved in producing melanin very strongly. There are many health benefits with this dose. So 40 milligrams or 80 milligrams has been studied in multiple studies now. Particularly with the 80 milligram dose, you can expect to find a broad range of skin health benefits. Starting with melasma benefits, it has also now been shown to be beneficial in helping to stimulate better or more collagen production. Also helping to stimulate more hyaluronic acid production. So of course, collagen is important for skin tone and firmness, elasticity of the skin, decreasing the appearance of fine wrinkles. This type of data has been shown in multiple clinical studies now. And of course, increasing hyaluronic acid is going to provide better moisture content in the skin. Beyond that, there has also been studies that show that it helps to improve the skin barrier function. It increases the genetic expression of some of these important proteins that make a very strong skin barrier. This helps to prevent damage from, say, pollution or UV radiation and prevent moisture loss through the skin. So it, again, helps to maintain the moisture content of the skin. These compounds have a very powerful antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effect. And what happens when UV radiation hits the skin is it actually penetrates deep into the skin. And it causes a lot of free radical stress to start. And then if it's allowed to go on like that, it causes an inflammatory reaction. I'm sure you know all of this. But what Pycnogenol does is it helps to decrease that free radical stress. It helps to stop that inflammation. And it actually has been shown to reduce the level of irritation in the skin due to UV radiation by 60% with the dose that you're targeting. So it's really quite good for slowing down the aging process in the skin.
Oh, it seems like benefit is not just reduce the melasma,
Right.
but even the melasma gone,
Right.
we should take it for a long, long time.
Yes.
It's not just reduce the melasma, but it also protect your skin from the sun.
Right.
Thank you very much for all the information. It's
Oh,
very
you're very welcome.
interesting.
You're very
And this is the first time that I know about the French marine Pycnogenol the real thing from you
Excellent. Excellent.
ขอบคุณค่ะ
ขอบคุณครับ
ขอบคุณทุกคนมากนะคะ วันนี้เนี่ยก็ต้องบอกว่าผลิตภัณฑ์ของดร. Olivia นะคะทั้ง 2 ตัวเนี่ยได้ใช้ Pycnogenol ที่เป็น French Marine Pycnogenol Extract จริงๆนะคะจนแบบนี้นะคะเป็นแบบตัวแทนจากบริษัทเขาบินมาที่ไทยแล้วก็มาเจอเราเพื่อให้ข้อมูลอย่างลึกซึ้งนะคะแล้วเราก็จะได้เลือกโดสที่ถูกต้องเต็มโดสเต็มประสิทธิภาพแน่นอนนะคะแล้วก็ที่สำคัญมากกว่านั้นก็คือปลอดภัยมากๆด้วยค่ะ